Hey everyone, in this video we are going to have a look at how you can very quickly create a project for a microservice by using the Jolie programming language, Docker, Visual Studio Code, and NPM. And we're going to use a dev container, so you do not need to have Jolie installed for this tutorial, but you will need the other three tools installed in your system. Again, these are Docker, Visual Studio Code, and NPM. With that said, I'm going to jump to the terminal here and create a directory called tutorial. Get into it and launch npm init Jolie, which is going to present us with a few questions in order to generate our project. It is safe to go basically through the questions by accepting the defaults for the sake of this tutorial, but in a real project you will want to choose a more descriptive name, select the right version, put a description, and things like that. Now, the really important questions that we care about in this video are, first of all, this: do we want a Docker file? Yes, because we're going to use that in order to containerize our application and run it afterwards. And do we want a dev container configuration? Yes, again, because we're going to use this for development. And we're presented with which kind of Jolie project we want to start from, and we just select empty Jolie project. All right. Now we get our project set up for us, and we just open it in Visual Studio Code. Here we go. When we open Visual Studio Code, we are presented with the option of opening the project in a container, which we accept. And what's happening now is that Visual Studio Code creates a container for us based on the dev container configuration, which contains basically the settings for having a Jolie, for using the Jolie development Docker image in our project. What's left now to do is to write the code for our service. So I'm going to write a very simple service from another video that we had previously, which just inputs a name for a greeting request. So we just have that we get a name, and then we are going to reply with a greeting, which is a string. We're going to implement an interface called greeter interface, which has a request response operation, meaning that it accepts a message and then returns a response. We call it greet. It takes a greet request and replies with a greet response. And we can implement our service. We want concurrent execution, meaning that all clients are going to be handled concurrently. We create an input port, which is an access point to accept messages from clients. Create an input. We need to write where we're going to be available, localhost port 8080. We need to write which protocol we're going to use, in this case HTTP, and I want to use JSON as the format for messages, and which interfaces we implement, which is greeter interface here. Then we write how operation greet works. It receives a request, and we reply with greeting, which we can make very simple. It just says hi, and then the name that we had in the request. That's it. That's a working service. So again, taking it from the top, we define the types of the messages that we're going to exchange. We define an interface with the operation that we're going to implement. Then we define an access point telling Jolie where our interface should be located and how it can be accessed with which protocol. And then we implement the behavior of the operation like this. So now if I launch this in the terminal, since we are in a dev container, we have Jolie available to us, and we just launch Jolie main.ol. And when we do this, we can see from Visual Studio Code that now we have a service at port 8080, which is accessible from our local host. So I can now go back to the terminal and see if it works. I access localhost, port 8080, operation greet, and as name I can give, let's see, John. And I get hi John or Jane, and I get hi Jane as a reply. time. Now, once we are done playing with development, we can Dockerize, well, we can make a Docker image out of our project by running docker build. And we can call it tutorial, for example, like this. Now we have a Docker image, so we can run it by exposing port 8080. And let's see, we make it interactive, and we want to erase the container after we're done. And we launch tutorial latest, which we have just created. Put it in the background. There we go. So now if I run the same curl command, I should get exactly the same result, right? All right, so we have seen how to create, develop, and create an image for a simple microservice project by using Docker, Jolie, Visual Studio Code, and NPM. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have found it useful, and see you next time.